Hey everybody, thank you for joining me today. So today's video, we're going to be working on our next card in our Friday sketch series. I'm using a kit, or not even a kit, a 6x8 pad from 49 and Market, and I got that from my little scrapbook store. And if this is your first time joining me on my channel, if you could consider hitting the subscribe button and then hitting the little notification bell, that will give you an alert whenever I upload new content. Now on this sketch, there's no measurements and there's really not a whole lot to it. So just grab some paper, come join me at the table, and we're going to jump right on in, okay? All right, so I've already basically figured out what we were going to use. There was a reddish brown paper that was in the kit. I grabbed my 2 1/4 punch and I just punched out a circle to look just like what it's showing on the sketch to our right here. And we're going to go ahead and attach everything separate from the card base, so that way we can do everything that we need to right on our card front, I guess you would call it, since it's separate from the base. All right, so the mat is 4 1/4 by 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and then the pattern paper is cut at 4 by 5 1/4. And I just trimmed down the section of the flower that I wanted to have peeking through our circle. And that flower is a rub-on. So 49th and Market, I can't help it. I always say 49th, and it's just 49 regular, and Market have been really bringing back the rub-ons. And when I first started crafting, rub-ons were sort of heading out. Like, they weren't as popular. They were still around. Some companies still had them, but they just weren't around that much. And now that they're back, 49 and Market, I'm loving them. And I can't wait to start using their new collection, which is Spectrum. Is it Spectrum Sherbert? Something like that. But they have so many rub-ons in that collection. Oh, I can't wait. So I rubbed it. And then any part where it didn't come off or anything like that, I would just re-rub. Or, knowing that this piece was going on top of it, I was like, it's going to be okay. We'll just put this down, and anything that may not have finished will be covered. And I always use wet glue with my tape because it gives me just a little bit of wiggle room time. So if I don't put it in the right spot, I can lift it up without damaging my paper. In case this is your first time joining me, I always like to explain that because for some people it seems like overkill, right? Okay, so what I just did there is I put down some powder because I'm going to heat emboss on the sentiment we're about to stamp down. So since this is a darker paper, I just grabbed my Versaclear Nocturnal ink, and because it's a pigment ink, it stays wet longer. We're able to put our clear embossing powder on top, sprinkle it off, and we're going to create an embossed look with just stamping it in regular black ink. Now, you can always do this a couple of different ways. I know there's a lot of stampers who don't like using black embossing powder because it does have a little bit more of a static clean to it, so it can be messy. But doing it this way, using the black ink and then the clear, it just intensifies the black ink that you already put down, and it gives it a nice, like, shiny look to it. And then I'm just going to take my cloth and kind of wipe around it, take some of that powder off. And then there is our card front. And I'm going to show you the one I did first off camera. I did not heat emboss, so I wanted to show you guys both ways. But you can always, if the paper's not too busy, stamp on pattern paper. You can do that, you know, and you don't have to worry about getting an extra piece of paper. You stamp right there, your sentiment is done. We could have always added a sentiment to it. That's fine too. But I'm just showing you that there's other options that you can do. So the left side is without the embossing and the right side is with the embossing. It just gives it a little bit of something. Okay, and then I was thinking I would do the sequins, and then I decided to go ahead and just pull out the Nuvo drops, and that'll help tie in the black with the sentiment, so it gives it a little something. It helps tie it in. And then 3, and then I always tap it and it flattens it out so that way it actually looks like a made, or I guess a manufactured made enamel dot. So there is our final product. Now this one, super quick and easy. You can mass produce this and make a card kit for somebody, or even think about it for Christmas. Can you imagine? You get a Santa stamp or snowman, and you can have them peeking right in that circle, and you can mass produce it and have a bunch of Christmas cards ready for December. So these sketches are so versatile in that way. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and definitely leave comments down below. I love to read them, and I will see you guys with our next video. Have a great weekend.